Hello, growers of the world. Jordan River here with more Growcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Today's episode's a good one. We talk with Thor from Viking Gardens. Now, Thor does a little bit of breeding. We talk about that, but more to the point, we talk about DWC extensively. He's a big fan of DWC, talks about RDWC, talks about the benefits, the drawbacks, the differences. Really, really cool episode, a topic that's undercovered, so I know you're going to love today's show. Before we jump in, though, gotta give some love to AC Infinity, the best grow fans in the game. Go to acinfinity.com. Use promo code GROWCAST15 for 15% off your ventilation. Upgrade your fans. Step up your ventilation game. They also make dope-ass tents, but they're frequently sold out because they're in such demand. So check it out. When they're in stock, grab them, use the code, save that 15%. But make sure to pick up some fans. They've got the best inline fans. The S-Series is their simple series. And even that has a 10-speed fan controller, and their Smart Series is even better. It can kick on at any temperature or humidity. It has the proper voltage dialer downer thing, the pulse motor is what it's called. And that means that your fan runs incredibly quietly and for much, much longer than other builds. acinfinity.com. Use code GROWCAST15. Let's get into today's show with Thor. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the program. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to Growcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, please share the show. Spread Growcast around is how we grow. Give us a good rating and review. We appreciate it. Today, we are doing another breeder feature, and then some. And today's guest is Thor from Viking Gardens. What's up, Thor?
How you doing, Jordan? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming on, my friend. We appreciate you coming on, talking about your offerings, talking about DWC, and so much more. Really excited, man. This is going to be a good one. Why don't we start from the beginning? Give a brief background on your cultivation history, what got you into breeding, and also why you're so passionate about hydro.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the show. It's always a pleasure to be here week to week and really learn the knowledge that everyone's got to pass. Today, I'd like to talk a bit about DWC. DWC is known as deep water culture. It's a different version than RDWC, which is not reverse, but a recirculating water culture. And deep water culture is with buckets. And we use 5-gallon buckets. We fill 3.25 liters of water in each one just because that is naturally what the 6-inch net pot allows. And what we do is we just grow plants through water. Instead of growing them through a medium, we use hydrogen rocks that go through the net pot down into the water. Inside the water is nutrient. And the nutrients, you just don't only have to use a very little bit. 3 things. It's a very easy process. You're just going to need a grow A, a grow B, and a cow mag. And that's going to get you through. There's nice things to have on the side. 2 things that I do recommend having on the side are some clear res or UC roots or Watermax. And those products, along with SLF 100, those products will help you bi-weekly just for a flush. We're not going to put them inside the nutrients in the buckets. We're just going to use them bi-weekly. But for flowering, you're just going to use a bloom A, a bloom B with your cow mag, and that's it. It's a very simple process. It's a clean process. The more you use actually will hold you up in DWC. It's not a process to where it needs a whole lot of things. The feedings that you're giving it typically are salts because you can't use soil nutrients with DWC. What happens is the soil type nutrients are more organic. You can't use dry amendments. They're all more organic. When it goes to the water and the air stones and the oxygenation, it just doesn't work out well. And it makes a lot of sludge that ends up causing root pythium down the road. So you want to kind of avoid that situation. But using salts isn't a bad process. These days, they're very clean. And just using those few products like a grow A, grow B, bloom A, bloom B with the cow mag is really going to take you far. And going back to supplementals with the SLF 100 and the Watermax Clear Res or your UC roots, what you're going to do bi-weekly is whenever you do your bucket changeouts, which bucket changeouts are when you take your net pot off and you put it into another bucket or on top of another bucket that's empty, and you're going to dump out your nutrients, clean out the bucket, keeping it nice and sterile. You don't want to use any products like soap or anything like that. Just clean water. And you're going to refill your nutrients back up into the bucket. But while that's happening, your plant that's sitting inside of the net pot, which could just come right up top, right off the top of the bucket, in that other bucket that you're putting it in that's empty, you're going to take a mixture of water with SLF 100 and your UC roots, and you're going to dump it in through the very top, and it is going to drain down the roots into the bucket. And you want to use 3 gallons, a mixture of 3 gallons, and you want to use all 3 gallons as it flushes down. And then once that's finished and you're finished making up your new nutrient bucket, you're able to take that net pot, put it back onto your new net pot, like so, and put it back into your garden. And it's good for every 7 days. You typically don't want to go more than 7 days without switching your don't keep it in there for more than 7 days. You want to switch it out every 7 days. It's usually better for DWC that way.
Okay. Wow. So I've seen, we have a little growers chat. I've seen a lot of DWC growers. You see DWC growers online, but I've never done it myself. And I've always wondered, about changing the water, about the timing. So this kind of tutorial is totally eye-opening to a soil grower like me. And it's also always stunned me why I've heard that same thing, how in these hydro type setups, you don't need all these trace minerals as much. And I don't even know why that is, but that's always stunned me. And the other thing about this is the yield is kind of unrivaled, right? Like unless you're doing some weird like aquaponics type thing, DWC, you get monster yields, right?
Yes, it seems like with the roots inside of the bucket, it seems like, you're getting direct penetration with the nutrients. You're really that plant fed, right with its contact. And I believe that the nutrient solution that's made, and there's certain really good ones out there. And, I'm not sponsored by any of the companies or anything, but there are pharmaceutical grade nutrients out there that are, very just as clean as organic, and they work very well with it. But I believe that it just penetrates that root zone and gets to that plant just so in contact with it, that it's just inside the solution, and it's just constantly getting what it needs rather than searching and finding for it through buffers and whatnot, like through soil. But the yields really seem to become not outrageous, but definitely an upgrade. I would say it is a little bit more of a yield than a lot of techniques, other different type of mediums, but it's easier to unlock. And the yields are a little bit bigger and thicker, and you could see a difference in hydro type buds, and you could see a difference in DWC compared to rock wool hydro and other, techniques of hydro too as well. You could really see a difference in water bud. I believe it's a lot thicker. The terps are there. I mean, it's a great bud. It doesn't have too many negatives whatsoever.
Everyone should go follow Real Thor 89. You'll see some of his pictures are quite impressive, I have to say. So you guys should go and check it out for sure. I've always said if I had to go back to salts, I would definitely do a DWC because the style has always fascinated me. But again, it's really cool that you talk about. I'm glad you shouted out SLF 100. That's a great product that, again, we're not partnered with them, but we stand behind them. Enzyme product, great for cleaning roots. I feel that it's kind of a more sterile mentality in general. Are there any, let's say, more organic-ish type products that you can add? For instance, could you add a liquid mycorrhiza, or do you not even worry about that sort of thing? You try to keep it clean and sterile?
For a long time, I have really gotten into depth with DWC. I have really tried putting a lot of products into the water with the plants successfully. And to be honest with you, I know it was successful as far as the plant, continuing to thrive, but I didn't see much of a difference. Sure. So when it came down to it, it was just more ppms inside of the reservoir, and I didn't see too much of a gain from it. Actually, I saw more success from not using it than I did using it. But I thought maybe, hey, if there was any type of conditions in here that were off point, say I was giving it too intensive light, or maybe say there was a pest in there for some reason or something, maybe it would help, get rid of it better. Because I do believe that microbes and mycorrhiza and all that great stuff is a wonderful thing, because I still do grow with soil outside. And boy, I have to have that stuff every time I grow. Nice. It really is great stuff. I mean, the microbes and the chemistry of that, it's just, you got to make sure you feed it, because if you don't, it'll overtake, I like to feed about a series of 5 different microbes when I'm growing in other mediums. So I really believe in that, but I believe that less is better inside DWC. So I recommend against using any type of beneficials whatsoever, any type of microbes or anything. But, again, I believe that just the grow A, grow B, and some CalMag goes a long way in veg, and that's all you need. And the same thing for bloom A, bloom B with your CalMag, and it's going to go a long way. And anytime you want to do boosts with DWC, say you have a flower booster, instead of going out and putting extra salts and higher ppms in it, you're just going to lessen your A and you're going to add more B. And that what that's going to do is that's going to put your more, because typically in the B process of the bottles, because most bottles are 2-part when it comes to the Hydro series, some are 3-part. But the most 2-part series is you're able to add more bloom. Let's say take 15 milliliters away from the A side and add 15 more milliliters of the B side. And that's going to give you a flower boost. You're not going to have to add anything extra, and you're going to get that advanced frost and the extra yield that you're looking for. And the science is there, and it's been proven. I've done it a few times, and others are doing it as well.
Man, yeah, I might just because I'm growing for content now, I might have to give a crack to one plant in a bucket system and see how it goes. Talk about the difference between recirculating and regular. Obviously, one is recirculating and changing, but like maybe the benefits, the drawbacks, all that.
Excellent. So there's RDWC, which is that recirculating water culture. A lot of the awesome systems that you see out there, like current culture, a lot of DIY growers out there do it a lot. To be honest with you, it's a great system. It's going to help you not work as hard. It's working smarter and not harder. DWC, it's single bucket. It is actually working a little bit harder. You actually got to clean each one individually. You don't have a necessarily water reservoir to all of them. So when you empty it out, like I said, it's one at a time. You're not able to do it all at once. Maybe add something in there to help clean them all out at once. It's kind of a one at a time type of thing. But the benefit to DWC for that is whenever you're growing in DWC, you have individual, meaning you could put an individual genetic in there. You're not working 7 different genetics in RDWC, which would have them all connected. Some plants need to be fed more. Some plants need to be fed less. Some need a little bit less light. Some want more direct light. So typically with RDWC, your buckets are all in one place and you can't move them. So once they're connected, they're in place and they're stayed in place. You can't move them around whatsoever. With DWC, you can move it around. You could take this bucket over here, move it over there, give it some shade if it needed it. The other benefit to it is if this plant needs more food, you could feed that food more. Oh, it didn't like this. It didn't necessarily like the boost that I talked about. Oh, it didn't want that flower boost right now. Let's go ahead and change that bucket out. We're able to individually select that plant and it eventually changes nutrients without disturbing all the other nutrients and all the other plants. So that's definitely one of the benefits of that. And if you needed to, one other example is, say one plant is drinking more and you notice it doesn't need more food because it's very, very green and it needs just a little bit more water. So you're able to add back to that without having a problem. And in the future, there's actually some buckets coming out here very soon. They're actually from Canada coming out. They're called, I believe, Visionary Hydroponics. And they're coming out with this bucket that actually has, for DWC, that has an open side of the bucket. So you're actually able to access the root zone with adding more water or measure the ppms to see whether it's eating or drinking more. So you need to add more nutrients or water. And without taking the net pot off, because with DWC, you do have to take the net pot off of the bucket to access the zone. With RDWC, I believe there's a built-in compartment where you're actually able to add the water without disturbing the net pot. So there's pros and cons for both. But RDWC will help you if you're working hard and you're at work every day and you can't see your garden that much, or both ways are great, but you could leave with RDWC knowing things are doing great and DWC, but RDWC is less work. It's actually for the guy that needs to do more other things rather than just grow. RDWC has pros and cons and DWC has pros and cons, and they're not really one better than the other. I believe they're both equally the same. If not, maybe one or the other could maybe put an argument, but I do in the end, they're equally the same with pros and cons.
Before we return to Thor, shout out to Cultilux, the industry leaders in CMH. Use GrowCast10 to save 10% at Cultilux.com. They make the best CMH fixtures, the highest quality, and the best bulbs. You got to pick up their multitude of bulbs for different phases. CMH Spectrum, don't sleep on the CMH Spectrum, guys. Fantastic solution here. We're giving away a 315 watt in membership at patreon.com/growcast. Doing that in February. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But Cultilux is my favorite CMH manufacturer. They've got everything you need, the 315, the 630, even the double-ended 1,000 watts. Use it as flowering, use it through veg, use it as a supplement. CMH is one of the best spectrums, and it produces that high-quality terpy flower you love. Cultilux.com for all your CMH fixture needs and bulbs as well. Use code GrowCast10 for 10% off. All right, everybody, let's get back to Thor. Here's a stupid question for you. You talk about changing out the plant, changing out the bucket, changing out the net pots. You're literally lifting up the entire plant in the huge wizard beard of roots, and you're just, and that's no problem as long as you just do it quickly and cleanly. That's not a big deal.
Well, there has been proven videos online, as well as other people online through video on Instagram. So you have documentaries on the forum and people talking about it. And you have another gentleman, which I don't know him too well, but I don't really necessarily follow him all that much. But people have referred me to his profile, and he actually keeps his roots exposed for quite some time. And he believes that the roots need to breathe and that it's not a problem. I'm not sure if he's trying to show that DWC is so strong that it can withstand it, but he keeps his roots out of the bucket for about a half an hour. I don't recommend doing it more than about 10 minutes because when I'm changing out my buckets, it takes about 10 minutes to do each plant. You know, it depends on how you clean it out. I really clean it each time. I measure them properly. I stir it. I do it in a process. And, you know, for that 10 minutes, they're sitting in that SLF solution and that, you know, in my clear res solution or my UC roots or Watermax, whatever I'm, you know, mixing with it. And it's just clearing out the roots, you know, and giving it a clean zone because inside of the rocks, all I'm using is just, you know, a root riot or a rock wool medium that's, you know, an AOK plug. So I'm not getting anything wet. It's actually just cleaning what I call the epicenter of the plant. But yes, you're able to take it right off of the net pot. And you can keep it exposed, but don't keep it in direct light. And don't keep it in front of a fan. And whenever you put it in a pot, it's naturally going to be moist. But you can leave it there for 10 to 15 minutes without an issue, in my opinion. But others have been showing that you can do it for up to 20 to 30 minutes without an issue, which is quite a feat, but something that I'm not willing to do to my girls because I treat my girls like my family.
Yeah, you got to, I totally identify with that, but still that's super fascinating, man. I never heard that. I would have never known that as a soil.
You could you could even trim the roots. Sometimes the roots will get very, very big and long, and you need them to mass out more than you need them to get long because some cultivars develop different root masses. For example, I noticed that Northern Lights, the old school Northern Lights, makes a really big, massive root zone where it's more wide and horizontal, and it really fills the bucket. Same thing with Gorilla Glue. And then you have other genetics like Tropicana Cookies or Banana Punch and stuff like that that really make kind of a Rasta beard long root, you know, before it masses out. You know, it makes a very long one. So some people like to cut it and make it mass out. And you could actually prune your roots, but I don't recommend doing that often. But if they get very, very long and you want it to mass out more, you can prune the very bottom of the roots. But I don't recommend doing it more than a couple of times, but I've done it myself. Sometimes the roots will outgrow your bucket size if you really just need to upgrade to a new bucket. But I've been able to trim my roots because they've gotten too big for the bucket size and successfully done it without any problems with the mother plant. But I soon realized I just needed to move to another bucket. It didn't make sense. Just put it in a bigger bucket. But some people don't have that. So, roots can be really manipulated without an issue. You could spray them down if they sometimes get a little brown. Some people use the wrong cow mag. I recommend Mendocino cow mag from Amazon. It's the very cheapest cow mag you could buy, and it works for hydro. And I also like Bitonic here sometimes too. It kind of smells like Listerine. It's kind of funny, but it works. It's clean for hydro too.
One thing that I wanted to ask, again, this whole changing it out, I know I'm like stuck on this subject, and the trimming the root stock is incredible. But I know it's once a week, so that's not a lot. But are you picking up your whole huge, humongous plant and lifting that like late? You're about to harvest, and your plant is huge. You have a DWC tree. You're able to lift that thing out, and there's no problems with that. Like, I don't know. That's just really funny and
thank
cool.
you for in that one. Okay, so late flower, it does become a bit difficult. You got a very big, massive plant with a lot of massive colas on there. And if you're not using stakes or plant ties, it could become an issue. And I have to use two people. It's actually a process where me and my wife do. One person will pick up the net pot with the plant actually on their shoulder. So someone actually has this big, giant, huge tree like stalk on their shoulder, and above their head is just all the buds, but they're holding with one hand the tree mass from underneath, because I like to not necessarily lollipop, but undercut a lot of my plants 1/3 on the way up. So it's kind of bald from the bottom. So I'm able to get my, neck onto in my shoulder into the plant as I lift it up with one hand, and have my hand on the plant bracing it so it does stay still. And it's quite hard because the root mass is so big. So it's quite difficult sometimes. And I think, with DWC, this is maybe one of the bigger cons that I do want to warn people about if they are, let's say, not very strong or very tall, or it's going to be quite hard to do it by yourself. You have to be, quite strong and tall. So it is a very difficult situation on your own. I recommend someone else. If you have big tree plants like that are at least 6.5 foot to 7 foot tall, you're going to need a second person. So having a friend or a significant other is definitely a help. Now, if you were to be growing, let's say, 4.5 foot, harvesting, it is very simple. One person to grab it without an issue. You could actually balance it with one hand. Two hands would do it very simply, with no issue. So if it's just the big, huge plants, that's where, hey, RDWC is kind of nice, because, instead of changing out the bucket, we could just flush it real hard with some good water and UC roots and SLF, for a good, hour before we add our new nutrients in. So that's something that I'm also going to be doing here soon. So I would like to pronounce on your show that very here soon, within about a month, we have a current culture system here purchased. It's a 24 port, 12 on each side, and we're going to have 6 lights to go with it. Right now, we're eyeballing 2 companies that are for the lights that are really looking like they're going to be the new future of LED and stuff. So we wanted to make sure that we got some good lights that weren't going to go out of style, and it wasn't going to be a bad investment. And it's going to be a 6 light grow. And we're going to be able to go live. And I really want to do more casts with you guys. And I really am going to have a giant flower room to show you guys. And we're going to be, we're already licensed here in Maine. We just are going to, once that flower room gets rolling, we're going to be licensed to, go to dispensaries and sell 75% of our sales. So that's our future for that. And for flowers, we're going to run photoperiod in that room. So that's the future for that one, and we will have RDWC to display and show people as well.
Nice.
And
that's really cool on a commercial scale. Yeah, I'd love to get an update on that, man. You're welcome to come back, and also everyone needs to give you a follow. Like I said, it's a pretty impressive Instagram page, man. So I like that. Large scale. Maine seems to have some really cool. I know they were trying to rework the laws and people were pissed off, but they seem to have some really cool cannabis culture and cannabis legislation. So
grow good bud, though. You're off on all the very good, important things in Maine, and you said that everything right on point. The thing is if you go really good bud, though, you're not going to have nothing to worry about, whether you're a caregiver or not. As long as you have what people are going to want and your bud is superior, you are going to have a good position here. It's just, they're making it to where you can't get super rich anymore. Or wealthy, excuse me. I'm using those words wrong. You can't get wealthy, but you could, they make it to where you can pay your bills, and they are controlling it. And it is tough, but as long as you're producing something that is superior, you are going to be successful. So no worries, just keep on pushing it.
I love that attitude, man. But I have a couple questions that we need to squeeze in. I want to talk to you about selections before we wrap it up. There's one more DWC question. And again, I'd love to have you back on and talk more about this wonderful growing style. But here's my question for you. When it comes to soil growing specifically, or just any medium, any container growing, let's say, the container itself is a limiting factor for your yield. It seems to me, when you put a plant in a 5-gallon bucket, I know it's less than 5 gallons of water, as you said, but when you do that, it really expands that container limitation. Is there even a way you can really judge yield? Does it come down to genetics and what light you got at that point? Like, I imagine that some plants would get really, really large while others, you know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, is there still kind of a limit because of the bucket size?
Naturally, because we have clones out there and we have so many people growing, naturally we could find those genetics that are going to, those female genetics by clone that are going to really produce no matter what. But you're not wrong whatsoever. DWC is going to bring out that superiority of a genetic because of the fact that you're able to really expand that root zone. Bigger roots, bigger fruits. It's a well-known thing. The bigger medium, the bigger root system, the bigger plant structure that you're able to build will create that bigger yield, will create that bigger of a plant because it's not having any holdups whatsoever. It's just literally processing and processing and processing and processing. And the fact that you have salt nutrients that are pharmaceutical, very clean and dang near organic based these days, that it's really directly hitting the plant and it's getting what it needs right away. So combined with these new LEDs that have all the right stuff and the environment that you're able to put it in, it doesn't have to be super dialed in every single time, but if you do even dial it in, you're extremely going to have that better yield every single time. It's going to be the most important thing that you ever realize that, wow, hydro is stepping up what I do here full time. It's wonderful. And it really helps you with autoflowers big time,
I bet. I can only
with
imagine.
Autoflowers, a lot of the guys don't really understand the key to this autoflower is either outdoors, of course we see some great stuff indoors, but they grow so great outdoors in soil and indoors in DWC or hydro. Hydro DWC autoflowers will get you 4.5-foot plants that yield the quarter pounds that you want at a degree of top shelf quality that you want. And it's going to do it almost every time. You're not going to have root disturbances. Like you said, it's not no limiting factors. You're really just going full throttle. You got all that extra space. If you're not looking for a big plant DWC and you think it's bad for you, we'll get a 3.5-gallon bucket and it's still going to work for you. I'm not saying, hey, it's a NASCAR way to grow. It's just a fashion efficient way to grow. If you got small limiting space, that's okay. Just get a 3.5-gallon bucket.
That makes sense.
It works out, and just flip sooner if it's a photoperiod. If it's an auto, of course you got to work with, what it gives you. That's what auto is. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big, but you don't hear too many people complaining about, big autos these days, but sometimes limiting space. I don't
that's exactly why I was asking.
Yeah, because DWC, if you are having limited space, so you may not want to grow the auto with the DWC because it is really going to get big. Again, it can get big.
Good problem to have. Good problem to have.
Yeah,
man. But let me put a finer point on that. If you're going to do a photo in a 5-gallon bucket, one plant, and you got a nice light, what size tent do you recommend growing that in?
I just started getting into tents for the first time because I was controlling males. So I never really had too much experience with them. Oh. But if you're going to grow in a tent, and you would like to really focus a photoperiod or auto, put it in a 4x4 and, get a very nice light that's going to be 600 watts. And I believe that you could either scrog that or really grow it Christmas tree style and get the success that you need. You don't need much. Just get yourself a basic setup, a nice 4x4 light, 4x4 setup in a tent or an area, and you're really going to style and profile. And if you want to grow more than one plant, just know you're at least going to need a 6x6 area for 2 or 3 in DWC because they do get big and they do get wide. And if you like to train them, it's really going to get big on you. So give it a try, guys. I think you're going to have some success. And like I said, all you need is just those few nutrients that I said earlier. And really, believe it or not, give it a try and you'll say, wow, it barely needs much at all.
Man, I am quite impressionable because I feel like I'm loving the organic runs that I'm doing, but I expanded into an auto tent and that was so great to switch that up. I might take one of my precious 5 plant count here in Illinois and try a DWC bucket. So stay tuned, everybody. That's going to be really fun. I want to make sure that we talk I know DWC and cultivation is kind of your main thing, but you also got these genetics that you're playing around with. Can you tell
Oh
us maybe
yeah,
just one or two that you're most excited about, and ones that people can go and find?
Jordan, thank you so much for that. This time for talking about these genetics. So I really had some fun during the first series of my genetics. I handed a lot of them out. We ended up having a motto in our house. We wanted to be like, we wanted to give away a goal of giving away $1 million worth of, seeds
I
value.
love that.
Because I know it costs to send the seeds out. So we wanted to at least spend at least one. So that's one of our mottos with our is we do like to hand out seeds to growers. So their first time, we will take a look at you. Don't be scared. If you're a first time grower, come ask us a question. You could ask us a series of questions. I started off growing Thor's hammer, and I started off growing wildberry skittles, and it kind of evolved F1, F2, F3. I decided to take the Thor's hammer to the F4. That's where I'm at now. It's a very big cultivar. I call it the extra extra large Thor's hammer. It's now coming in the feminized version here soon, and the next I would say maybe a month or 2 months, they will be nice and tested and available. But I work with the auto regular most of the time. I have genetics that are now at Oregon Elite Seed Bank, as well as directly through me. I have Thor's hammer and Amethyst hammer. Those are what I have left, but I'm sold out of everything else. It's been about 3 months since I dropped my line. My first line was Thor's hammer F4. Wildberry Skittles, of course, was out, but I dropped off Thor's hammer line, which was banana hammer from Ethos, a big genetic from Ethos. I enjoyed it a lot. Ethos Genetics Banana Daddy. I crossed it into a Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer male was a very big autoflower, very big structure with a very big yield. It was something that we really forward to when it came to breeding autos. Was we wanted results. We didn't want anything small, so we bred that big male into it. The results came out great. And then we also did Hammer the Pie, which was a strawberry pie. It was a autoflower from Fast Buds, beautiful female. And all the packs that we took females from, we hunted packs out, not just one pack. We took multiple packs to find the females, and we found beautiful ones. And again, like I said, I crossed the Thor's hammer male into them. So we had strawberry pie times Thor's hammer, which was Hammer the Pie. And then we had a Fast Buds OG Kush, which was MC Hammer, because we figured the OG Kush would go together real good with the Thor's hammer, and that was the MC. And also a very nice plant that likes to be scrogged, a very frosty plant. And then we went ahead and did Galactic Hammer too as well from Ethos, which was their Pluto. I believe it's a Pluto R3 back cross, and the Pluto was pretty cool. Getting experience from it, it was a very gassy. Everything was just very gassy and a good yield on that. So the female that we found from multiple packs worked out real good. Into breeding, we got a decent amount of seeds from that, and they were all sold out. So everything is actually now at Oregon Seed Bank. So I want to talk one time about the blood cake too. The blood cake back cross that started a while ago with a friend of mine that was in the UK. I had passed him some seeds, and he was an auto flower breeder himself. And he liked to play around with genetics like wedding cake and photoperiods into autoflowers. And he took an ice cream photoperiod and crossed it into a wedding cake autoflower, and then took it to an F3, which recommend I take it to an F4 if you're going to take a photoperiod to an auto. But he took it to F3. Was then taking it and crossing it into the Thor's hammer F3. And then when he back crossed that Thor's hammer, or excuse me, I got it. And I actually made the blood cake through his ice cream cake that he developed times the Thor's hammer F2. And that is what made the blood cake auto originally. And then I was able to take a Thor's hammer F3 auto and cross it back into it to make a back cross. So we then took that back cross and the results and found a wonderful male and a female from the back crosses and was able to make a back cross one. And it took a little while, but it worked out pretty good. We really liked the results. It was a bushy type of plant. It was more wedding cakes type of style of growing. But, I don't talk too down on the UK genetics, but their version of wedding cake wasn't necessarily our version of wedding cake. So it kind of was a little different. It had a little it was pretty big structure on the yield and everything, but it wasn't as exotic as the wedding cake was over here. So again, it's a good blend of a cake type plant mixed with Thor's hammer. So the yields were pretty good. And we enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed that one. And it's a back cross one. So it was cool being able to go into that realm of breeding and enjoying that. That was pretty cool.
Man, this Thor's hammer auto that I'm looking at, the yield looks nice and everything, but it's the quality that's stunning. I saw someone commenting on one of your posts. It's like, these are autos that look like photos. And that's what we've been waiting for. Well, you see that ruderalis difference, right? You see that the trichomes, they're not quite as dense. The heads stick closer to the leaf, to the bud structure. They don't seem to extend and enlarge the same way as photoperiod. But if you look at some of the autos that you're growing, specifically this Hammerline 1.0 is what I'm looking at right here. This thing looks like a photo.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. And like you said, we didn't have much time to talk about it. We could talk more next time. I would have gotten a lot more in depth about each one. They're really close to me. Thor's hammer is really close to me. Wildberry Skittles, of course, was a put together for a preservation line. I'm a big time Rockbud fan, autos. I like his stuff as well. Nice. So when I first started breeding, the Wildberry Skittles was based on a preservation project of keeping that purple rockberry that I like so much with some of the Care Bears from Firebuds, which I like his, but his Care Bears is pretty good too as well. Nice. And that's how I made the Wildberry Skittles initially, was a Care Bears and that purple rockbud. And that really evolved into an F3. But the purple preservation, that one was real nice with the terps and stuff. But the Thor's hammer was really the pride and the joy, because it got really big in the F4 stage. I really moved the F1 to be just, we made the seeds. The F2 ended up being, hey, I want a good color. So I made, I took a nice purple looking male and a very purple female and trying to make color. The results came out very good. So with the F3, I really wanted to get the yield structure and the tall structure in there. So I went with the big one. And then with the F4, I said, this has got to look exotic, have that good bag appeal to it. I got to find the best male I can and the best female I can. I was able to find a really nice one. And like you said, the results have really came out really well to where they're looking like a photoperiod cousin, and they're really doing their thing and yielding well. And the medicinal value is there. I really like the terpene profiles that are in it. I like what it's doing for nerve pain and inflammation. It's helping appetite stimulation. Naturally, of course, they all do, but it's helped sick people be able to get the appetite. So not the average person. So it's really done a lot for a lot of different people. So I've continued to work it. And like I said, I'm feminizing it for the people out there that don't like the auto regular version. And I believe that, feminized will not necessarily be, bad or good. Some people don't like the feminized, some people do. But hey, if you like feminized, you take the chance on them, and we'll see how they come out. They should come out great. I selected a wonderful female that looks like she's probably going to yield more than a quarter pound. So we're looking at one of the bigger Thor Samers females. I have her just a young picture of her pictured, but as of right now, she is very large and very pregnant with seeds. So we're very happy to know that the reversal went well. You could see the seeds in the making. With Wildberry Skittles, we're not going to reverse or move into a different line. We're just going to work the Thor's hammer once again. Like I said, it was a 1.0 this time, so it may be a 2.0 this time around, because I can't get enough of the hammer, and it looks like it's doing well.
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's got a nice pink hue to it. I'd love to get some of that in my auto tent as soon as the space is freed up. Never enough plants, especially in my state.
Thank you.
Listen, Thor, thank you, man. This was a wonderful interview. What can we do here? Real Thor 89 on Instagram. That's your main platform, right?
Yeah, I've been around to different places lately with the can of buzz going on lately, and everybody wanting to move. And I created a profile there. I'm Real Thor there too as well. And nice. I've done a little bit of YouTube stuff, but I haven't tried. I've really just been kind of adding up different things, kind of getting a feel for the flow. But we really want to create a website here in the future. And we really want to kind of represent ourselves more, but we're kind of establishing ourselves right now. We're still breeding. We still have a wonderful breeding room that has a lot of stuff in the process of making. We have that flower room that we're building out right now. And that's the future. We're going to really have a lot of photoperiod growing in there, a lot of hydro going in there. And we want to do something on the live, whether it's a YouTube or a IG or it's a casting, one or the other. We really want to work with people and show them, hey, this is how we do it. If you want to grow like this too, you can grow like this too. It's very simple. So we kind of want to spread the knowledge. That's what we started as knowledge seekers and passionate growers. And we're going to end it that way too and continue it that way too as well. So, thanks for, letting me speak today. This has been a wonderful, I could talk to you more. So I hope to have another where we could really go in depth about anything else that you would like to talk about.
100%, man. You should keep us updated. I love hearing from the main growers. I love hearing from the breeders. I love hearing from DWC growers. So you check a lot of boxes. We'll have you back. We'll check in on you out there on the West Coast. Stay warm out there. Of course, I'll do a little wrap up here, and then we'll talk post-show because, got a couple.
Sounds great.
Yeah, totally. We'll see what we can do to collab. So everybody listening, make sure to follow Growcast, of course, at Growcast on IG. Check out our Patreon for all the bonus content. Tons of member content waiting for you at patreon.com/Growcast. All right, everybody. This is Thor from Viking Gardens and Jordan River signing off saying be safe out there and grow
Be safe, guys. Later.
All right, everybody. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you so much. Quick shout out to Rain Science Grow Bags. Go to rainsciencegrowbags.com and use code GROWCAST to save 10% on the best containers for growing. No more overwatering. Use that Rain Science Grow Bag. Get the one with the grommets on the side. Perfect for low stress training. They are the best. Velcro in the back for easy transplanting. Code GROWCAST saves you 10% at rainsciencegrowbags.com. Thank you to Rizo Rich and IllinoisCannonConsulting.com, his consulting website. Thank you to Jay Blank for doing the beat. Thank you to all you listeners. I appreciate all of you so much. And of course to the members at patreon.com/Growcast. Great things coming up, great episodes coming up, some classics, good old friends like Rich and Dr. Coco and Mary Beth, some more breeder features. We've got some brand new guests. So stay tuned, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time on Growcast. Bye-bye.